This video tries to show the reasons for which I will stop working to the dynamically generated charts for the audit feature. As mentioned in the previous post, I use code from other controls in order to make this one, and unfortunately, since multiple conditions were introduced and the previous code was written without any bindings, I have literally hundreds of places where I need to address the code. I already wrote hundreds of new lines of code, with ChatGPT help, of course, to make this feature and to bring it to the state as it now in this video, but there are still hundreds of things that needs to be addressed. Writing this feature from a clean state is not going to work for me, because this means months of work. The things you see in the video and the work done up to this point is to create the classes for the objects I am using to bind to the control that contains another 12 other users' controls, which contains other controls whenever I click on those 3 points, not to mention the control I added for generating the TSQL code via contextual menu. I managed to add logic also for adding those tabs in case we want to chart multiple tables or the same tables using different queries and so on. I cannot describe in words the amount of work needed to make this control work without issues. For the past almost 8 to 9 days now, I was trying to patch the code and to take in consideration that once loaded from the database, the control would use objects and not control properties. The initial control would never save previous state, not to mention that those combo boxes are populated on dropdown, while now, once the info is loaded from the database, the combo boxes are not populated at all, but only the text property of the combo box is set via an object property value. Also, for the time being, the script is saved in the database and displayed in the control, but there is no code that will parse that script and create the objects with their properties checked in order to display them every time user right-click on the SQL button. Every time we click there, the menu is created with its initial values, meaning nothing is checked, but that shouldn't be the case. We should parse the script, and for specific columns set the check property for column if the script contains count column name. This is among other few hundred of things which requires work, which is why I decided to not invest months of work in this control. Although I will not work to this control, I am happy that I tried for as long as I could to work on it because I was able to find out via ChatGPT things that I can use in other controls in the future. Another thing that I can mention that added to my decision to stop working was the fact that I realized I don't have in my code a cancellation for attempting opening a SQL connection with the instance. I just tried during the development process to choose the named instance that I always keep down, and I try to press the stop button since, like I told you, once the instance is chosen and the database combo box is dropped down, then a query will be sent to that instance to retrieve the names of the databases. Well, since my timeout is set to 10 seconds or more, I believe, and cancellation token cannot be used to cancel that script execution and error is returned. ChatGPT provided the solution, although it needs to be tested, but although ChatGPT is of tremendous help, it is still my job to test that code and introduce it in the places where I never considered a cancellation for opening the SQL connection. In other words, it was a good ride, but long enough.